Hello, high-tier players. This video is going to be about the systems that govern Marvel Rivals, specifically the Matchmaker, with regards to how its AI governs and figures out how matches should be made. This is to help players govern their own behaviors and helping train the AI to get the outcomes that you want, which of course are going to be high-quality matches where your team aren't a bunch of idiots. That's always the outcome that we want, right? So this entire breakdown from the engineer is about 47 minutes, 42 seconds long. That's a pretty long format for most people to watch, so I've tried to break it down here as best as I could. There was another wonderful breakdown that did more of a generalized take on it from Marvel Minute Masters. He was actually the first channel that I ever saw this video on, and he linked the original, so I went ahead and did a look through it myself and thought I'd give a slightly different take on it just because I have extensive experience with AI models because I helped develop them for years, as well as programming knowledge from a game developer's perspective, as well as being a high-tier gamer myself. And so I'd like to at least break down how this AI appears to be working relative to some of the other models and how we as players can modify our behavior so that we get what we want, which is, of course, high-quality matches. So this AI is no different than really any other AI that you've ever used. If you've had any experience with Gemini, anything from OpenAI, from their O models, like the O3 Mini, more recently, and the O1 models, to the more popular and well-known ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Llama, Grok, any of these. If you're familiar with those, this AI is governed by the exact same principles and needs to be trained in the exact same manner. So we'll let the NetEase engineers themselves tell us exactly what algorithms and formulas they're using in this AI matchmaker in order to figure out how we can best manipulate it to get the outcomes that we want. So the first slide here we're going to go over is how matchmaking usually works. And they're just explaining how their systems are relative to other matchmaking systems, how it usually is grouped up in other matchmakers. They're probably referring to Activision Blizzard specifically in this one, just because they have most of the patents and the proprietary technology when it comes to both skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking, which both of them are definitely in the game. I've heard the takes from, unfortunately, the same exact people that enabled this when Overwatch was doing it. We've seen that streamers, pro gamers, anybody who actually makes any kind of significant money from that gaming scene has a vested interest in keeping that scene alive, which means also they're going to argue for it when it comes to fairness in matchmaking and the ranked competitiveness, because of course that would give their own positions and ranks a lot more legitimacy if those systems are in fact good. Unfortunately, they are highly, highly manipulated. We have been able to uncover this through multiple legal systems, such as the Patent Office, and also through, of course, NetEase doing this and telling us exactly how theirs works. So we know that they are in the games, and we know that every streamer and large content creator that has tried to say, oh, the ranked systems and the ranked ladders, they are not manipulated, that is just cope from bad players. No, we know this stuff goes deep, and you will see just how pervasive this actually is, because they don't just track your online behavior, they're also tracking your offline behavior. This is some next level stuff, and this presentation is years old. So they've gotten even more advanced since then, because there's been, in just the last few years, what's happened with AI. It has gotten so much more sophisticated and capable since 2021, 2020. Goodness, we are on a whole nother plane, and you would be absolutely insane to suggest that the NetEase company hasn't also taken some of those new capacities into consideration in their models. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on the slideshow here. So the first one that's very important is going to be the preset matchmaking rules. These are the main things that are governing what they're trying to pair up in terms of players, qualifications, what ranks they are, what the minimum skill gap is, latency differences, etc., etc. So these are just basics. These are kind of normal for a lot of matchmakers, and there's nothing really malicious about this. The problem comes in after they start going over their philosophy. And this is where you start seeing, okay, they're starting to do some things here. So this is where you start seeing they're trying to determine a fair match or a happy match. Compatibility with the players, how are the different outcomes acceptable to the player. let me break that down for you. They're trying to figure out how you react to when they treat you certain ways. So the AI will, and pretty much everyone's experienced this, you'll go on these streaks, right? You'll have a streak where it's just ridiculously easy. Every game you have a working team, everyone seems to be calming decently, reacting decently, they're using their abilities properly, they all know their roles. No one's being a complete dead weight. And then you have other games where the entire team is dead weight and you're the only positive KDA on the entire team and you're wondering why everybody else is 0-10, blaming you, ironically. And it has to do with this rule. This slide, this right here, is telling you it's purposely giving you matches like that. So you need to train this model. When it gives you matches like this, what do you do? Do you hit that button again? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if you do, that is a mistake. If you immediately hit that find another match, one more round button, or you exit back out and then you try to hit the find match button, this is not the way. You will train the AI to say, okay, I can give this person totally stacked, crappy teams against them. And games where they have virtually no chance of winning, way less than where it should be, around 50-ish%, and make you carry a whole bunch of dead weight. Now the thing is, you'll see some people who are like one above alls, top 20, top 50, and they're breezing through this stuff on unranked to GM or unranked to Celestial challenges, acting like, oh, there's nothing wrong with the system. Yet on all of these challenges, you'll notice not only do they lose a few games, which they try to act like, oh, see, my win rate's still 85-90%. It's, this is just a skill issue. It is, but not to the degree that they're acting like it is. Because what ends up happening is if you have a slightly lesser than absolute top of the world skill, say you're actually supposed to be Grandmaster or Celestial or somewhere around there, you're not quite that one above all level, some more of that win rate will slip from you. A few more of those games that, you'll see this too, the top people, the absolute top of the world, will have many games on top of the ones that they lost where they're just going, oh my gosh, that was so hard. Every game that they ever act like it's even a little bit hard, or like, oh man, that was kind of close, or man, I don't know how I won that. You have to assume that anyone less than that, there is an increased chance that they're not going to be able to pull that off. They're not going to get that same victory outcome. At least there's not the same odds for it, not the same high odd of it. So if you see a top 25, say for example, act like, oh, I can go to unranked GM in 9 hours. Well, here's the thing, if he's a top 25 and you think that you're probably, maybe GM2, somewhere around there, and you have decent amounts of skill to actually back that up, you're gonna have a hell of a lot worse time trying to get up to that Grandmaster rank than he did. It's not just gonna be straight wins, because a lot of the close matches are gonna be losses, as well as the losses that he suffered, which means your overall win rate is less, which means you have to play a whole lot more games, and a whole lot more games, it's not gonna have the win rate. So it's gonna take you a lot longer to climb up there. It's gonna be a lot more difficult. So you have to train these matchmakers to give you those nice matches that make it an easy, fast climb. Now, unfortunately, this means that we have to get really crafty with how we actually behave. So one of the things that you'll find in this next slide is their concerns when it comes to retaining you. They're trying to figure out why you and other players are staying on this game to begin with. Why are you continuing to hit that button? Versus what makes you take breaks, what makes you log off for extended periods of time. They really want to nail all of this. They're trying to go through psychology. They're checking the ELO systems, which, here's confirmation, by the way, this slide, it is 100% a modified ELO system. That is absolute crap. I've done a whole video about this. That should never be done for multiplayer games. The next few slides are of them going over the various dimensions that they use to gauge your reactions, really, and your behavioral patterns in order to figure out how to retain your attention and thus keep you playing the most. However, it's very curious because they come to the conclusion that the best way to do that is to send you on all these streaks, and for some reason the human psychology does actually react to this. It might be some form of Stockholm syndrome where you're almost like a gambling addict. You're just like, one more time, maybe this time I'll get it. And the matchmaker's not going to give it to you. You don't realize that you're at a slot machine. You think it's a skill-based system, it's a meritocracy. No, this was made by the Communist Chinese Party, okay? The CCP doesn't operate on American principles. We operate on meritocracy. The CCP believes in evenness. At least that's what they, show as a philosophy for their governing systems. And so they've taken that to their gaming system because it's being exported internationally. And they want everyone to have that system. So what they actually have here is the taller blades of grass, if you will, having to carry the shorter blades of grass. So if you've ever thought to yourself, oh my goodness, it's like they stuck me with a whole bunch of dead weight and they're just expecting me to carry these people up. Yeah, they actually are. And here's the proof. We know that they are doing that. That's not just you. I know every video from every big influencer that has a conflict of interest in this has been saying otherwise. That's not true. Here's the evidence. It is absolutely 100% being rigged against you. It's not in your head. Don't let them convince you otherwise. They are lying to you. They have a conflict of interest. Their livelihoods depend on their continued income from this type of stuff. So the next thing that they go into is the really important factor. This is where our behavior comes in. This is churn rate. This is what they want to avoid. They don't want you to take breaks. They don't want you to stop playing permanently, to quit, to uninstall. These are the outcomes they are trying to prevent at all costs. And the system will reward you, so to speak, with easy win matches, the ones that are stacked in your favor, in order to keep you there as long as you tell it it's not acceptable to give you the other type. The problem is a lot of people don't have self-control, and so they I just want to play this game, I just want to keep playing. And the problem is then you realize what you have to do is start rotating accounts. I know that's really controversial. A lot of people are going to hate me. That technically violates the TOS. You do need a carousel of Smurf accounts in order to game this system properly. Because every time you get a rigged match, you see down here at the bottom where it says 8-hour churn, that's very important because that seems to be the magic number that this system is based off of. 8-hour long breaks or longer are considered bad outcomes. And you will find that it tends to feed you, not always, but it does tend to, on a majority rate, feed you a couple at least easy matches after you take an 8+ hour break from the system because it wants to try to retain you. It's trying to alter its behavior to get the outcome that it wants. So now that you know what it wants as a system, it wants your attention, you can train it, give me only these easy type wins. Only give me these types of teams. I will not play as soon as you give me one match with these crappy rigged, against me teams. Don't let it do that. Don't let it throw 10 Smurfs on the, well, not 10, obviously, you know what I mean. Don't let it fill the other team with Smurfs and you're stuck with a bunch of dead weight time and time and time again. Because a true pro, somebody that's top 20 or something like that, yeah, they can do that. But most of us aren't aiming for that. We're just trying to get somewhere between Grandmaster and Celestial. That's the goal for most of the people that have been contacting me trying to get help for this game. And that's why we're going to teach the system 8-hour breaks are what we do every single time it gives us a bad match like that. And that it means you have to rotate to another account unless you just want to actually take an 8-hour break. Now you could do that, but sometimes that means you'll only get to play 2 or 3 games of Marvel Rivals a day. If you're okay with that, cool, go ahead and do that. But for a lot of us that want to play continuously, you just need a rotating carousel of Smurfs that you use, at least 5 or 6, I'd say, so that you can keep going after one. It gives me a rigged match. On to the next one. Okay, play a couple here. That's good. Oh, there's a bad one. Go on to the next account, and you just keep rotating like that. You'll be able to stay on the game practically the entire day, as long as you do that. Unfortunately, I don't know of any other way to do that other than just taking massive breaks from the game, in which case you're going to have to find some other way to entertain yourself. Because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm taking the time to game, 8 hours later might be when I have to be sleeping. 8 hours later might be when I have to be at work. It's very important to make sure that the gaming behavior that we're adopting also benefits us. So in this case, the way that benefits me is to keep that rotation going so that I don't have to stop gaming. That's just me though. You can choose your own, but I wanted to bring up the churn rates because that is a very, very big focal point for their AI. They want to prevent that at all costs. Here we're taking a look at how the matching algorithm is figuring out how to maximize engagement. This is the one that a lot of people, again, have directly said, EOMM is not in this game. Yeah, it is. Here it is. Here's exactly how it's implemented in the game from the company itself. A lot of big influencer takes are not going to age well as soon as this actually hits mainstream. So this is how it looks globally. They're trying to obviously maximize all of these different factors that they believe makes high quality matches, and it is up to us to research and study these if they ever change. So this is how it currently works. They may, once we start behaving a certain way, try to modify this in order to counterbalance that. Don't let them. We'll stay on top of this. We'll figure out some other way to behave in order to get what we want. We cannot allow bad match quality to continue in this manner, because we are high tier players. We are the top tier of gamers, and we will not let a system game us. So until then, stay on that high tier, players. The view from here is always worth it.